Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. With special thanks to our pals at ADT Taxis, Feed Me, Piglet's Pantry, Tiger, Leicester Garage Conversions, Pink Vehicle Leasing, Hologram, The Fox's Arms, Moyer Wade Interiors, and our chosen charity, Memphis UK. We bring you the fans' views on the match each week, and your views matter to us. Join the fans debate each match with us. Follow us at Leicester Fan TV.
Good evening. Welcome to Leicester Fan TV on a Wednesday night. It's time for another Fox's Tale at 7:30. We've got a cracking guest on tonight. He's been on many times and quite a bit with Leicester Fan TV, and we always get some good stories. But it's 7:30. Get your comments sent, and it's time for the Fox's Tale. Let's get hellos in. Hi, Adam. Good evening as usual. Evening, Peter. Evening, Matty Bond. Evening, Mock. Evening, Ben. Ipswich Town, welcome. Welcome to the channel. We've got an Ipswich fan come on to watch tonight. It's great to have you on. Evening, Maz. Let's not hesitate. Let's get the man on and let's question him. The legend that is Ian Marshall. Evening, Ian. How are you, mate?
Good evening, mate. I'm very well. Hope everyone's okay out there.
Good, good. As we always start, mate, what was the deciding factor when you left Ipswich Town to join Leicester for 800,000 Martin O'Neill's signing?
Yeah, well, obviously I didn't want to leave Leicester, Ipswich, because I loved it there. I was enjoying my football. My family was settled and everything. But the lure of Premier League football always, you know, that's the thing that where you want to play at the highest level, and Leicester were in the Premier League. So I didn't, you know, after a chat with Martin and meeting Martin, I was looking forward to the challenge.
Fair play. I mean, you came in and was it 80 on appearances, 18 goals. A game that springs to my mind watching at the Filbert Street. You had a good record against Derby County. The hat trick in the first half. I mean, how much do you remember of that game?
Well, I remember it quite well because I always remember waking up on the morning of the game and I didn't feel too clever. I felt I had a bit of a cold coming on and I didn't feel that great. And it just goes to show you how much bullshit that means, you know, when you go out there and you get... It was only my second hat-trick of my career and it was in the Premier League. So, you know, I remember as well we had quite a weakened team because I think there was a few illnesses going around at the time and a few injuries. So it was a great result, and it's always nice to get one over on the Sheepshaggers, isn't it?
Definitely, Mike. I mean, you had a good record. I mean, you also played in the game at Pride Park where we were 4-0 up in 15 minutes. I mean, that must have been a strange game. And what did Martin say at half-time to you? Because I know we didn't score in the second half, but what was the team talk like in the dressing room to go in 4-0 up?
I mean, it's one of them games where you don't, you know, you're expecting a tough battle. You know, Derby at the time were on sort of similar terms as us, mid-table team, and you're expecting a battle, and you don't expect it to be that easy. But we scored, you know, I think it was inside 20 minutes. We scored 4 headers, and Martin didn't really have to say anything. You know, he pretty much knew the game was won unless we made some stupid mistakes. So he just said, really, you know, keep it tight, don't do anything silly. And you know, we could have went and pressed for 5 and 6, but at the end of the day, you don't want to do that and concede and then give them a bit of hope. So we were quite happy to go out 4-0 winners.
Ross Howard asked, "Why did you wear your socks really low?" Always wondered that.
Well, you see, that's a bit of a fashion icon, isn't it? You've got Grealish doing it now, and the lads at Norwich. They obviously watched me and said, you know, that's the way to go. That's the way forward. No, I just didn't wear any tie-up. So I used to tuck my sock into my shin pad so that, you know, and I just felt more comfortable without a tie-up on, really. So, you know, the blood, I felt my blood coursing through my veins.
Phil asked, what is Marshy's favourite manager of all time?
that would. I mean, I've said this a lot. I've had some great managers in my career, but I would have to say Howard Kendall was my all-time favourite, just because I was a young lad and he was very, very influential on my career. You know, he had faith in me when I was younger. Okay, I didn't make it in the Everton team, but he gave me my chance in the first team, and I learned an awful lot from him, which I learned an awful lot from me other managers. But I just think when you're 16, 17, 18, it's a very influential time when people, have a bit of guidance over you, and you tend to listen a bit more than when you're 30 years of age and you think you know everything.
Facebook user, what was abroad was lifting your League Cup in 2000, the highlight of your career, as you were cup tied in 97.
Yeah, it was a great occasion. As I said in a few interviews, though, because I only played like a bit part in the final as a substitute, I didn't really feel I earned it. That I know I'd played in some of the rounds before and everything, and probably the 2 goals against Fulham and that, but I just didn't feel. It was a bit of a somber moment for me. I was made up we'd won, but I didn't really feel that I was a full part of it because I only played about 5 or 10 minutes of the game. So, where it was a great occasion for the club and great, and I was made up. Obviously, we won it. Me personally, as what I actually gave to the game and gave to the victory was quite minimal, really.
I mean, you talk about that cup run. I mean, that season was magical. I mean, there were some big games in there, not just in the League Cup, the FA Cup as well. I mean, going to Arsenal 0-0, and then coming back to the old Filbert Street. I mean, I remember the double save and Ed Savage off the line, and quite clearly, back in the day, there was some memorable, highlights from that season. I mean, but you say the Fulham game, to go 2-0 or 3-0 down, were we in that league game? And
yeah, we were 2-0 down, and we got it back to 2-2, and then went into extra time. We went down 3-2, then we got it back to 3-3, and then it was we just trounced them in the penalties. I think it was 3-0. They'd missed theirs, and we scored 3 of ours, and it was a fantastic occasion. I mean, we had 3 great years if you think about it. We won the cup the year before. We got beat by Spurs, and then we got beat in the final by Spurs, and then we won it again the following year. So you're looking at 3 years of only losing 1 match in the League Cup is pretty good going.
I mean, that cup run and the penalty shoots that's on the way. 3 lots beating Leeds United, I think, was another game we beat them on penalties to go through. Did the team practice penalties in the build-up to those one, or is it literally just a case of going up and taking one?
Some of the lads practiced them, and some of the lads didn't. And I don't think when we did practice them, there was too much seriousness about it. It was just a bit of fun. Do you know what I mean? Because I think, when you're on a cold winter's morning on a Wednesday, and you've got a goalkeeper in, and you're trying to stick it in the top bag, in the top corner like a postage stamp. But when you come and watch them take it on a serious note, not many of them try and go for the postage stamp. They just want to get it in the back of the net and get out of there.
Remember the Matt Elliott just placed the ball and smashes his foot straight through it every single time. There was no place about Matty's penalties. I mean,
funny, when I was at Oldham, I actually did that myself. I took a penalty against Bobby Mims when he was playing for Blackburn Rovers, and I just ran up and leathered it down the middle, and he didn't move off the spot. It hit him in the stomach, and he just keeled over on the ground and saved it. We got beat 1-0. So
yeah, I mean,
I never went down the middle again.
That team was, I mean, full of great players. The Tim Flowers at the club had signed from Blackburn. You had Walshy, Elliott, Taggart. The names read off, and then that must have been one of the best teams you played in. Would it have been?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was fortunate enough to play in the Everton team of the 80s that won 2. Well, it was the first division then, but it would be the Premier League now, and that was littered with great players. And we had some fantastic players in that era at Leicester. Muzzy comes to mind. He was a class player. Gary Parker was a great passer of the ball. We had some good defenders. Walshy was absolute legend of the football club. And then we had O'Neill up front, who's probably one of the best centre forwards I've had the pleasure of playing with. Just he seemed to have everything. Power, speed. He had a great shot left and right. He could dribble past people. He's good in the air. He had everything, every attribute. And it was a fantastic team.
There's one player who doesn't get mentioned that often. He was a super sub, an Icelandic man named Arne Larkson. I mean, what was he like in the dressing room? Because the rumours he was quite a character.
Yeah, when you say he was a character, I wouldn't say he was odd. He was just obviously Icelandic, and a lot of the British humour and the British way of life was not what he was used to. So he kept a lot to himself. He didn't, he wasn't a great mixer. But if you ask me, if you still go back now and say who would you like to take a penalty for you, he'd be right up there, because we come from Iceland and he was ice cold when it came to taking penalties. He's absolutely class.
I mean, one question I think everyone will ask tonight, Marshy, the highlight was your goal away at Atletico. I was in the crowd and it was a dream moment. I mean, those are the games, I mean, the fans live for those moments, and you scored up there to get that goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, a talk about a bittersweet scenario, because on that day, and I will be honest with you, throughout my whole career, you could probably count on one hand how many times you feel in the zone, as in everything you touch and everything, every pass, every bit of control is spot on, and you felt really, really good. And I felt really, really good in that game. And I don't know who the defender was who took me out, but he probably felt it as well, because I only played 35 minutes, and it was great to get the goal. And even over the two legs, I thought we were the better team, and I thought we deserved the victory in the end. But it just goes to show you the corruptness in the European football, because the referee was an absolute joke. But as I say, it was a fantastic moment for me. I wouldn't rank it as one of my best ever goals as a great goal, but it meant so much to an awful lot of people, and it meant so much to me.
One goal that probably did mean a lot was the winner at Anfield in the last minute, 6 yards out.
Yeah, that's my favourite goal I've ever scored, probably, because, as I say, when I was a kid, I'm a Liverpool fan now still, and I always wanted to play for Liverpool, his hometown club. Albeit I always wanted to score a goal in the Cop End, and fortunately I did that. I wanted a Liverpool shirt on my back, but the best thing to do is to score against them. And it was a winner in the 87th minute, which makes it even more special. So it was possibly it's definitely up there in my top 3 of all time favourite goals. Yeah.
When you were at the football club, who was the teammate you shared with on the away games? Who did you share with it?
Well, I used to share with Matt Elliott, and then obviously I left, and I think he started rooming with Tags, because when we were both cup tied for that second League Cup, so we started rooming together, because we used to get, like, Martin would insist that me and him went on all the trips to when we played away. So we went to Ipswich and a few other places, but Martin used to just let me and him go out on the piss and on the Tuesday night, and as long as we came back at a reasonable hour, he didn't mind, and it was great fun. Obviously we didn't know how long the run would go for. And when we got to that was the first cup final, the Middlesbrough one. We didn't realise the lads were going to get to the final, because obviously we'd have wished we were not cup tied and playing in the final. But it was great fun. We had a great night just before Wembley. Him and Steve Guppy, we had a night out in around London, so it was a good laugh.
Mark Charles says, who was a better, Casey Keller or Flowers?
I'd have to say Tim Flowers was the best goalkeeper. It's just a shame that Tim came to us when, I wouldn't say his hips had gone or anything, but he was suffering quite a lot from injury. But I can't knock Casey, because he did a great job for us when I was there, and he was fantastic. But if you're telling me, in their prime, in their heyday, who was the best, I'd have to say it was Tim Flowers.
Right. How was this question gone? In which players in the current squad would you like to play with in the dressing room?
You mean who would have liked to be mates with in the dressing room or played on the pitch?
See what it says. Would you like to dress in the dressing room? Play with, basically, I think he means, mate. Who would you like to play with?
I'd like to play with Johnny Evans. I think he's a decent player. Seachu, I like the look of him. Obviously, Ricardo is a great wing back, and I think he'd get plenty of crosses in for me. It's a different game now, obviously. I think I'd like to have played up front back in the old sort of thing with Vardy, because a bit of a little and large centre forward combo, and I think he'd feed off me very well the way he gets in behind defences, and me flicking it on or nodding it down to him. I think it'd have been a good combo, yeah.
Ben Morgan said, you mentioned Muzzy and Parker. Would you relish service from Maddison and Tillemans?
Yeah, of course I would. I think on the day they're very, very good players. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed in Tillemans. I thought he was fantastic when he came on loan the first season. But I don't think he's lived up to the billing of what was expected of him last season. I didn't play terrible. I wouldn't say he was terrible. I just didn't think he was as good as what he showed when he was on loan, which obviously, he's shown that, so everybody knows what his capabilities are, but I don't think he actually performed to those levels when he joined.
Barry said, remember when you arrived with your hair, Walshy said you'll be gone within a month, was it?
Say that again, sorry.
Barry said, remember when you arrived at the football club with the long hair, Walshy said that you would be gone within a month.
Well, I mean, I'd still have it now if I had, but as you can see, it's gone grey and it's all fallen out. So you have to adapt. I think back then I was in my early 30s and it was starting to fall out then. So I had to make, when you cut it short to make it look fashionable. Really, it's just fallen out.
I mean, you talk about like Walshy was a legend. I mean, how good was he to play with, and what was he like in the dressing room?
Well, the funny thing, I mean. I think he'll be honest with you and tell you the truth. He's not the most gifted football player, but that's not what he was about. He was a leader. He would put himself, forward. He wouldn't ask you to do anything that he wouldn't do, and he was a great inspiration to people. When times were tough and we were up against it, he would come and he'd tell you how it was, and that was the good thing about our dressing room. There was quite a few of us who said it how it was, and I think that's missing in football these days. I don't think there's certainly a lack of leaders around the football clubs, but he was just he lived for Leicester City, and he would do anything for Leicester City, and he'd do anything for his teammates, and that's why he was sent off so many times, because someone got done and he'd go and do them for you. But I play golf with him every week, and he's just a great lad. Total, always had your back, and loves Leicester City.
Lee Chapman says, when you were in Europe for Leicester, would you say having fans cheering you on made the difference, and having no fans in the Europa League be a factor for us this season? P.S. Hope you're well.
All right, chappy son. Yeah, I just think it's. I mean, I've played in training games and I've played in games behind closed doors, and I don't care whether it's a Premier League game or it's a Europa League game or whatever. There's no way as a football player you put in the same effort as you do when there's 30,000 people there or there's 40,000 people there, and they're expecting you to put a show on, because it's human nature that you're not going to do that. And I do think it's obvious that sorry, excuse me, it's going to affect the way games are played and the way results happen.
I mean, you talk about the dressing room and the different players. I mean, everyone talks about the joker of the dressing room, and the one player that gets mentioned every time is Gary Parker, because he apparently was the joker of the team. Did you get any fouled against you for that?
No, he never fell foul. I never fell foul to him, but I've watched him a lot of times do. He was just a funny bloke, and he'd do some silly things. The chairman, obviously, the tail of the chairman on the pitch, he pulled his shorts down when he was in the middle of a pitch when we were on a pre-season game, and just things like that. I mean, I'd imagine I'd love to see them get away with it now, but he was a funny guy. He was great in the dressing room. He got everyone laughing. The tense moments. He made it funny and lightened the atmosphere. He was a great guy.
Martin ONeill, as your manager for the whole time you were there, what was it like to play under Martin? I mean, the different stories that he knew how to get the best out of players by putting an arm around, but also the hairdryer treatment when it needed it. Was it a case of that?
Well, he never put his arm around me, but yeah, I mean, it was a case, and you know, the more I look back at it, I don't have any grievances with Martin. We didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but I do appreciate what he saw in me and how he dealt with me, because he thought that would get the best out of me, and it obviously did. We've talked about, you know, I've talked about many times Steve Guppy, who was a guy who thrived on confidence. And if he wasn't playing too well or he wasn't having a good game, Martin would have his arm around him and he'd be encouraging him and be telling him, you know, how good he is and how he's going to be in the starting lineup the next week and everything. And I totally understood that, because, you know, it picked him up and it made him play better. So you've got to say Martin's man management was unusual if you were an outsider looking in, but I totally get what he was doing and it worked.
I mean, going into modern day now, I mean, over the last few years, Leicester's had a lot of success. I mean, I don't know how much you've been down to the club or got down to watch many games. I mean, have you been down much at all over the last few years?
Well, I work in hospitality down there. I work in the Banks Lounge, so I you know, I meet a lot of fans and I watch a lot of, especially a lot of home games, pretty much all of them. So yeah, it's been a fantastic few years. You know, I was fortunate enough to be working when we won the league, and no, it's been a fantastic time. The Thai owners who have come in have been a godsend, really. You know, they've top owners. It's been a fantastic run, and long may it continue.
I mean, probably disappointment still among the fans for not getting that Champions League spot. I think we literally ran out of steam towards the end, and the squad depth probably told. Someone's put on here what Graham put. What do you think of Rodgers as manager at the moment? Do you feel he's the man to take the club forward in the right direction?
I'm not personally not a Rodgers fan myself. When I was a Liverpool fan, I didn't like him at Liverpool. So, you know, he hasn't won anything in English football. I think he says all the right things and he talks the right talk, but I think you know, he's got to take it fully on his shoulders that the reason he never got into the Champions League was his fault. I don't think they'll ever get a better. You know, I don't think they'll get a better chance to get in the Champions League, not for a while anyway. You know, all the teams who are buying, you know, for those positions are strengthening the team, and they seem to be spending a lot of money. Leicester, on the other hand, aren't spending much money at the minute. Hopefully, there's still a bit of time to go, but you know, I think one major signing isn't going to, you know, push for that Champions League spot and you know, get it sorted. So I think there definitely needs to be at least. I definitely think the centre forward needs to be bought to help Vardy and maybe to take over Vardy in the coming years. But you know, I'll always give people the opportunity, the chance to prove me wrong, and we'll see what he does this season. But at the minute, I thought, you know, I'd say firmly the blame lies on his shoulders towards the end of last season, because he should have done better and got him into the Champions League.
I mean, talk about the team around strengthening. You look at Chelsea, what they spent 5-6 players, big name signings. Man U just signed their first one, centre half from Ajax. I mean, it leads nice into question. Where do you think Leicester will finish next season?
Well, I'm hoping that they'll get in the, you know, again, I think best maybe 6th place. I'm thinking realistically 7th or 8th place, because they've definitely got a squad capable of beating the teams. You know, definitely the bottom half of the table. They've got the capability of beating them. But you know, as we saw with the form towards the end of last season, it's relegation form. It's not Champions League or even Europa League form. It's relegation form. So there's got to be a big change at the start of the season, and they've got to, you know, hopefully set out like they did at the beginning of last season and get some results early on and get up the table.
One final question, the biggest one I would say. What was your most memorable game for Leicester City?
The most memorable game, again, you've hit on probably the 3 of them. One would be the Liverpool game where I scored the winner. The other one would be the Atletico Madrid game, because we were so long since we'd been back in Europe, and we'd obviously I scored a goal, And then the 3 goals at Derby were something special as well, because it was, as I say, it was only my second hat-trick of my career. So they would probably be the 3.
Thank you again, Ian, for coming on. Much appreciated, mate.
No, Tom, can I just say one thing?
Yeah, of course you can, mate.
As you know, I've got a football prediction game. I've been involved with about 4 or 5 lads, and we've developed this game. It's called the Long Ball. If anybody wants to join, it's free to play. You just get on there and sign up. You can form your own leagues with your mates or your family or your work colleagues. And if you want, you can just add me on it as well. I'll join in so you can see how you can do against me. But I'd appreciate if as many people as possible join it and sign up, because as I say, it's free to play. It won't cost anybody anything. But I appreciate you letting me say it, mate. Cheers.
No, mate, much appreciated. We'll get the link from you. We'll get it posted on the Facebook and on the website, mate, for you, so we can get that going for you, mate. All right.
Top man, mate. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, Ian. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, pal.
There we go. The legend that was Ian Marshall's joined us tonight and answered the questions. One thing I'll put out there tonight, I can get these glasses if you can see them. They are official Leicester Fan TV pint glasses. I also can get mats for them. If anyone's interested, drop me a message. I'll let you know the price and stuff like that, and I can get them posted out to you. Just another little thing we're doing. You know, the money goes towards helping us all at the moment on this. As always, thank you for joining us tonight and putting your comments in below. It's a great pleasure to have you on here again. And we'll see you next week, when I think it is Mr. Walsh is joining us next Wednesday night, if that gets right. But for now, good night.
Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. With special thanks to our pals at ADT Taxis, Feed Me, Piglet's Pantry, Tiger, Leicester Garage Conversions, Pink Vehicle Leasing, Hologram, The Fox's Arms, Moyer Wade Interiors, and our chosen charity, Memphis UK. We bring you the fans' views on the match each week, and your views matter to us. Join the fans' debate each match with us. Follow us at Leicester Fan TV.